Aisha hurried along the crowded streets, her heels clicking on the pavement. The evening air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of rain that had passed earlier. She clutched her purse tightly, occasionally adjusting the strap on her shoulder, and glanced at the invitation clutched in her hand. It was for her best friend's wedding, a celebration she had been looking forward to for months. But excitement was quickly replaced by panic as she remembered the biggest problem. She didn't have a date. She sighed, stepping into the small park nearby to gather her thoughts. The city was alive around her, with cars honking, couples laughing, and children chasing each other in the fading sunlight. Yet in the midst of all that noise, she felt completely alone. Her friends had all found partners, and she had spent too many evenings explaining that she was just busy with work. Now, as she stared at the park bench, she wondered if she had made a mistake saying she would attend the wedding. Aisha sat down, her mind racing. She tried to imagine walking into the grand hall alone, seeing all her friends paired off and feeling the stares of well-meaning but curious relatives. She felt a knot in her stomach. She didn't want to be rude, didn't want to cancel, and certainly didn't want to spend the night feeling like an outsider. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sudden sound of a bump. Startled, she looked up to see a man had accidentally brushed past her. He was tall, with sharp features and neatly styled hair. His eyes met hers, and for a moment the world seemed to quiet down. She stumbled slightly and almost dropped her purse, but he caught it just in time. "Oh, thank you," she said, slightly embarrassed. "No problem," he replied, a polite smile forming on his face. "Are you okay?" Yes. I'm fine, just distracted," she admitted, feeling her cheeks warm. They both laughed lightly, easing the tension. Aisha hesitated for a moment, then, on a sudden impulse, asked, Can I ask you something unusual?" He tilted his head, intrigued. "Sure, I have a wedding tonight and I don't have a date. Could you, pretend to be my date for a few hours?" She quickly looked away, realizing how absurd it sounded. "I know it's strange, but I really don't want to go alone." For a long moment, the man simply looked at her. He didn't laugh or dismiss her. Instead, he seemed to study her face, noting the honesty and vulnerability in her expression. Finally, he nodded slowly. "Why not?" he said. "I can help for a few hours." Aisha's heart skipped a beat. Relief and excitement washed over her in equal measure. She quickly stood up, brushing off her skirt. "Thank you. I can't tell you how much this means." "You're welcome. I'm Ethan, by the way," he said, extending his hand. "Aisha," she replied, shaking his hand, still feeling a bit self-conscious. "I really appreciate this, Ethan. I know it's a lot to ask of someone you just met." Ethan shrugged. "Sometimes helping someone out is enough. Besides, it sounds like you need it more than I do." The two of them began walking toward the wedding venue. Aisha tried to calm her nerves, rehearsing what she might say to friends and family. Ethan, on the other hand, asked casual questions about her life, her work, and her friends. There was something easy about his presence, and Aisha found herself relaxing more than she expected. As they approached the grand hall, the music and chatter from inside reached them. Aisha's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted her dress. She took a deep breath, trying to muster courage. Ethan noticed and offered a reassuring smile. "You'll be fine," he said simply. "Just enjoy yourself." Inside, the hall was beautifully decorated with flowers, candles, and sparkling lights. Guests mingled, holding glasses of champagne, laughing and greeting one another warmly. Aisha's eyes darted around nervously, and she felt a pang of worry. She wasn't used to these kinds of settings, and she feared standing out in all the wrong ways. Ethan, sensing her unease, subtly stayed close, offering his arm when they were walking through the crowd. His calm and confident demeanor seemed to shield her from the eyes of others, and slowly, she began to feel more at ease. They reached her friend's table, and Aisha introduced Ethan as her date. The introduction was met with polite nods and smiles. Some whispered comments were exchanged, but Ethan handled it effortlessly, making jokes and engaging in friendly conversation. Aisha found herself laughing genuinely, feeling the tension melt away. As the evening progressed, Aisha and Ethan danced, shared stories, and even joined in on a few group games organized by the wedding party. Aisha noticed that Ethan was attentive, not just polite but genuinely interested in her thoughts and opinions. He asked questions, listened carefully, and made her feel valued. For someone she barely knew, Ethan's presence was comforting and reassuring. During a slow dance, Aisha glanced up at him. He looked at her with a mixture of curiosity and warmth. She felt a strange flutter in her chest, a feeling she hadn't expected when she first asked him to pretend to be her date. The night had started as a solution to a simple problem, but was slowly turning into something far more meaningful. As the final songs played and the wedding drew to a close, Aisha realized how quickly time had passed. The stress and worry she had felt earlier were gone, replaced by laughter, music, and an unexpected connection. Ethan walked her to a cab and she thanked him again for his kindness. "You were amazing tonight," she said softly, feeling a genuine smile spread across her face. "You did most of the work," Ethan replied with a small grin. "I just followed your lead." Aisha felt a mix of gratitude and curiosity. Who was this man who had stepped into her life so effortlessly and made her feel so comfortable? She knew little about him, but something told her that meeting him was more than just a coincidence. As the cab drove away, Aisha watched the city lights blur past. She thought about the night, the laughter, and the strange but wonderful connection she had found. A part of her hoped that this wouldn't be the last time she saw Ethan. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time that evening, she felt a spark of hope and excitement about what might come next. Ethan, walking back toward his own car, felt a quiet satisfaction. He had helped someone in need, and in the process he had found himself unexpectedly drawn to her energy and authenticity. He didn't usually engage with strangers like this, but something about Aisha's honesty and courage had caught his attention. The evening had been simple in many ways, but it had left an impression he couldn't ignore. Both returned to their separate lives that night, unaware of how this chance encounter would change their paths. Aisha felt lighter, more confident, and secretly thrilled by the mystery of the man who had become her date. Ethan felt intrigued, eager to see where this connection might lead and quietly hopeful that their paths would cross again. The night ended with unspoken possibilities, leaving both of them thinking about the other as they prepared for what the coming days might bring. The next morning, Aisha woke up to the faint rays of sunlight filtering through her bedroom window. She felt a strange mix of excitement and disbelief as she recalled the previous night. Everything seemed surreal, the laughter, the dance, and Ethan's calm presence beside her. She went through her morning routine in a daze, replaying moments of the wedding over and over in her mind. Every time she remembered Ethan's reassuring smile or the way he had made her feel confident, she couldn't help but smile herself. She arrived at the cafe where she worked a little earlier than usual, hoping to distract herself with the bustle of customers. As she busied herself behind the counter, taking orders and serving coffee, her mind wandered to Ethan. Who was he really? He had been so easygoing, so grounded, despite looking like he belonged to a very different world. Aisha shook her head, trying to push the thoughts aside. She had a job to do, bills to pay, and responsibilities that didn't allow for daydreaming about strangers. Yet the thought of him lingered like a warm glow. Meanwhile, Ethan's morning was equally restless. He found himself thinking about Aisha while he sat in his office, reviewing reports and emails. He wasn't usually distracted by casual encounters, but there was something about her that left an impression. He remembered her honesty, the way she had asked for help without shame, and the subtle charm in her nervous laughter. Normally, he kept his interactions strictly professional, but Aisha had broken through his carefully maintained walls with a single request. He realized he wanted to know her more, not for convenience or amusement, but genuinely. Later that day, Aisha was wiping down tables when the doorbell chimed. She glanced up and froze. Ethan stood there, impeccably dressed, looking as composed and confident as he had the night before. Her heart skipped a beat. "Ethan?" she asked, unable to hide her surprise. "Hi, Aisha," he said, his smile warm. "I was in the area and thought I'd drop by. I hope I'm not disturbing anything." Aisha laughed nervously, brushing her hair behind her ear. "No, not at all. You're welcome. What brings you here?" Ethan stepped inside and glanced around the cafe. "I wanted to see how you were doing, and maybe grab a coffee, if you have time." Aisha felt a flutter of excitement. "Of course. Let me make you something special." As she prepared his coffee, they fell into easy conversation. Ethan asked about her work, her friends, and the challenges she faced in her daily life. Aisha spoke openly, finding comfort in his attentive listening. He didn't judge her struggles or try to offer immediate solutions. He simply understood, and that made her feel seen in a way few people did. Over the next few weeks, Ethan became a regular visitor at the cafe. Their conversations grew longer and more personal. He shared snippets of his life, not too much, just enough for Aisha to understand his world without feeling overwhelmed. She listened with genuine curiosity, impressed by his intelligence and the quiet strength in his demeanor. He, in turn, was fascinated by her resilience and the way she navigated life with honesty and humility. One afternoon, Ethan invited Aisha to join him for a casual outing. They visited a local art gallery, strolled through quiet streets, and shared stories about their childhoods. Aisha learned that Ethan had built his company from scratch, facing numerous challenges along the way. Despite his wealth, he remained grounded, valuing authenticity over appearances. For her part, Aisha shared her dreams of furthering her education and exploring new opportunities, even though she often doubted her own abilities. The day ended with them sitting on a bench by the river, watching the sunset. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, and the city's lights began to twinkle. Aisha felt a sense of peace she hadn't experienced in a long time. Ethan's presence was comforting, and the conversation flowed effortlessly. "You have a way of seeing the world differently," he said softly. "It's refreshing." Aisha smiled, feeling her cheeks warm. "I think everyone has something unique about them. Sometimes it just takes the right person to notice it." Ethan looked at her thoughtfully. "I noticed you right away." The sincerity in his voice made Aisha's heart race. She realized that this connection was more than casual friendship. She didn't know where it would lead, but she felt drawn to him in ways she hadn't anticipated. For the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to imagine possibilities beyond her current life. As their friendship developed, Ethan began to introduce small surprises into Aisha's routine. He would send a book she mentioned wanting to read, bring flowers to the cafe, or leave a note with an encouraging message. Each gesture, though simple, carried weight. Aisha found herself looking forward to these moments, feeling valued and cherished. She had never experienced this level of attention and thoughtfulness, and it left her both delighted and slightly anxious. She wondered why someone like him would invest so much in someone like her. Aisha's colleagues noticed the change in her demeanor. She was more confident, more relaxed, and even her laughter seemed brighter. They teased her gently, sensing that something significant was happening in her life. She smiled politely, not revealing too much, but inside her heart was full. The connection with Ethan was growing stronger, and she felt a mix of joy and nervous anticipation. One evening, Ethan invited Aisha to a small dinner gathering at his apartment. She hesitated at first, worried about stepping into his world, but Ethan reassured her that it would be casual and comfortable. When she arrived, she was pleasantly surprised. The apartment was warm and welcoming, not overly extravagant, and his friends were friendly and genuine. They welcomed her with smiles and conversations, making her feel included rather than out of place. Ethan's world wasn't intimidating. It was just another part of life she was beginning to explore. During dinner, Ethan and Aisha shared stories about their ambitions, failures, and dreams. She learned about his philanthropic efforts, his passion for innovation, and the personal sacrifices he had made. He in turn listened intently to her experiences, offering support and encouragement. The night was filled with laughter, honest conversation, and the subtle undercurrent of growing affection. Aisha realized that she wasn't just enjoying the evening. She was learning to trust herself and embrace new experiences. In the following weeks, their bond continued to strengthen. They explored the city together, attended cultural events, and even volunteered at a local shelter. Aisha was surprised by how natural it felt to be around him. She no longer saw him as a stranger or a wealthy CEO. He was simply Ethan, a kind and caring person who genuinely valued her presence. Despite the growing closeness, Aisha sometimes struggled with insecurities. She worried about the differences in their social status, fearing that their worlds might be too different to reconcile. Ethan noticed these moments of doubt and always responded with patience and reassurance. He emphasized that their connection was based on mutual respect and genuine care, not appearances or wealth. One afternoon, while sitting in the park where they first met, Aisha opened up about her fears. "I enjoy spending time with you, Ethan, but sometimes I feel like I don't belong in your world," she admitted. Ethan took her hand gently. "Aisha, I don't care about status or appearances. What matters to me is you, Your heart, your honesty, and your courage. That's what drew me to you in the first place." Her eyes welled up with tears, touched by his words. She realized that for the first time, someone saw her for who she truly was, not just for her circumstances. The vulnerability she felt was met with understanding and acceptance, deepening their connection even further. As the days turned into weeks, Aisha and Ethan continued to navigate their growing relationship. They faced challenges, of course, misunderstandings, moments of doubt, and occasional judgment from outsiders, but their trust in each other remained strong. They learned to communicate openly, support one another, and embrace the differences that made their connection unique. Through it all, Aisha discovered new aspects of herself. She became more confident, more willing to take risks, and more open to opportunities she might have previously ignored. Ethan, too, experienced growth. He learned to appreciate the simple joys of life, the beauty in everyday moments, and the value of genuine human connection. Their journey was not without its complexities, but the foundation of trust, respect, and affection they built made it possible to overcome obstacles. Each experience, whether small or significant, strengthened their bond and reinforced the sense that they had found something rare and meaningful. By the end of the part, it was clear that Aisha and Ethan were no longer just acquaintances brought together by a chance encounter. They had become an integral part of each other's lives, learning, growing, and discovering the possibilities that life could offer when two hearts connected with honesty and sincerity. The story of their bond was only beginning, with many adventures, challenges, and heartfelt moments awaiting them in the chapters yet to come. Aisha woke up to the sound of birds chirping outside her window. The morning sunlight streamed in, casting a warm glow across her small bedroom. She stretched and took a deep breath, thinking about the past few weeks. Her life had shifted in ways she hadn't expected. Ethan had become a constant presence, not in an overwhelming way, but in a way that made her feel seen and understood. She had grown to rely on his support and kindness, and she often found herself smiling at the thought of him even before opening her eyes. As she prepared for work, Aisha reflected on how different things had become. Her routine at the cafe still remained, but her interactions with customers felt lighter, her laughter more genuine. The connection with Ethan had brought a sense of calm and excitement she hadn't felt in years. She wondered what the day would bring and whether she might see him again. Ethan, meanwhile, was navigating a busy day at his company. Meetings, calls, and emails filled his schedule, yet his mind kept wandering back to Aisha. There was a warmth in her presence that he couldn't shake. He admired her resilience, her honesty, and the way she approached life with determination. Unlike the people he usually interacted with, she didn't flatter or compete. She simply existed with authenticity, and he found that refreshing. Later that afternoon, Ethan decided to visit the cafe unannounced. He had been thinking about Aisha all morning and wanted to see her, even for a brief moment. As he walked in, the familiar aroma of coffee and pastries welcomed him. He spotted her behind the counter, moving with grace and focus as she served customers. When she looked up and met his gaze, her eyes lit up, and her face broke into a warm smile. "Hi," she said softly, slightly breathless from the unexpected joy of seeing him. "Hey," Ethan replied, his smile matching hers. "Mind if I join you for a break?" Aisha nodded, feeling a flutter in her chest. She quickly finished her task and led him to a quiet corner. They sat down, the ambient noise of the cafe creating a comfortable backdrop for their conversation. They talked about their day, their thoughts, and small details of their lives. Ethan listened attentively as Aisha spoke about her work, her family, and her dreams. She shared her frustrations, her small victories, and even her fears. Ethan, in turn, revealed more about his own life, carefully sharing experiences that highlighted his humanity rather than his wealth or status. Each story, each exchange deepened their connection, making them more than casual friends. Over the next few weeks, their relationship blossomed naturally. They began spending more time together outside of the cafe. Walks in the park, visits to art galleries, and quiet evenings at small coffee shops became part of their routine. Aisha discovered that Ethan had a curiosity about the world that matched her own. He asked questions, listened intently, and respected her opinions. In return, she shared her own observations and thoughts, feeling valued and appreciated. One afternoon, Ethan suggested a visit to a local community center where he often volunteered. Aisha was hesitant at first, unsure if she would fit in, but Ethan reassured her. As they walked through the center, interacting with children and other volunteers, Aisha felt a sense of fulfillment she hadn't expected. Ethan's world, which she once thought was distant and intimidating, began to feel accessible and inviting. She saw firsthand the compassion and humility that defined him, beyond his professional achievements. During these outings, Aisha began to notice small gestures that Ethan made, not grand displays, but subtle actions that reflected his attentiveness. He would hold doors open, notice when she looked tired, and offer thoughtful words at unexpected moments. These actions made her feel cherished, not in a romanticized way, but in a way that acknowledged her as a person of worth. She realized that this relationship was built on genuine care rather than superficial attraction. As their bond deepened, they encountered challenges that tested their growing connection. One day, Aisha overheard a conversation among some acquaintances who made assumptions about her intentions with Ethan. Hurt and frustrated, she confronted him about it. Ethan listened calmly, understanding her feelings without defensiveness. He explained that the judgments of others were irrelevant to what they shared, and that he valued her for who she was, not what others might think. This moment strengthened their trust and reinforced their commitment to open communication. The seasons changed, and with them, Aisha and Ethan's experiences together evolved. Autumn brought cool breezes and walks through leaf-strewn streets. Winter brought cozy evenings by the fire, sharing stories and reflecting on the year. Through every season, their connection grew, built on a foundation of respect, empathy, and mutual admiration. They learned to navigate differences in social status, interests, and lifestyle with patience and understanding. One evening, as they sat on a bench overlooking a frozen pond, Aisha turned to Ethan, her breath visible in the crisp air. "I never imagined meeting someone like you," she said softly. "Someone who listens, who cares, who makes me feel like I matter." Ethan took her hand gently. "And I never imagined meeting someone who could change the way I see the world, who could make me appreciate the simple joys I often overlook. You've shown me that life is about more than success or wealth. It's about connection, honesty, and shared experiences." Aisha felt tears prick her eyes, overwhelmed by the sincerity of his words. She realized that their relationship had transformed her understanding of love and companionship. It wasn't about grand gestures or societal approval. It was about finding someone who accepted her fully and encouraged her to grow. As time passed, they began discussing their futures more openly. Aisha shared her dreams of further education, career goals, and personal aspirations. Ethan supported her ambitions wholeheartedly, offering guidance and encouragement without imposing his own expectations. Their conversations were filled with hope, planning, and a shared vision of mutual growth. Despite the depth of their bond, they also faced moments of doubt and insecurity. Aisha occasionally wondered if she truly belonged in Ethan's world, and Ethan sometimes questioned whether their differences could be bridged fully. However, each time they confronted these uncertainties with honesty and vulnerability, their relationship emerged stronger. They learned that love wasn't about perfection. It was about commitment, understanding, and the willingness to face challenges together. Their social circles began to intersect more naturally as well. Ethan introduced Aisha to close friends who were warm and accepting, and she shared aspects of her life with him that he had never experienced before. They celebrated milestones, small victories, and personal achievements together, creating a sense of shared life that transcended their initial meeting at the wedding. One particularly meaningful evening, they attended a local theater performance. Sitting side by side, they laughed, cried, and discussed the nuances of the play afterward. Aisha realized that these experiences, though seemingly ordinary, were profound because they were shared with someone who truly understood her. Ethan, too, felt a deep sense of fulfillment, recognizing that the connection they had nurtured was rare and valuable. As the year progressed, their relationship became a source of stability and inspiration. Aisha grew more confident in pursuing her goals, knowing she had Ethan's unwavering support. Ethan found joy in the simplicity and authenticity Aisha brought into his life, reminding him of the importance of balance and presence. Together, they navigated the complexities of life, learning, adapting, and growing as individuals and as a pair. Through shared adventures, quiet moments, and candid conversations. They discovered the depth of their compatibility. Their differences, once potential barriers, became opportunities for growth and mutual understanding. They celebrated each other's strengths and supported each other through weaknesses, creating a partnership grounded in trust, respect, and genuine affection. By the end of this period, Aisha and Ethan were no longer just two people brought together by a chance encounter. They had become integral parts of each other's lives, navigating the world together with empathy, patience, and love. The foundation they had built promised a future filled with continued growth, shared experiences, and unwavering support. Their journey was a testament to the power of authenticity, connection, and the transformative potential of a relationship based on mutual respect and care. The story of their bond was unfolding beautifully, with each day bringing new lessons, adventures, and moments that strengthened their unique connection. Aisha woke up to a quiet morning, the sun barely peeking through the curtains. She stretched, feeling a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The week she had spent with Ethan had been filled with laughter, shared moments, and growing intimacy, but she couldn't ignore the lingering fears about their differences. She had started to notice how their worlds were distinct, and while Ethan made everything feel accessible and welcoming, she still worried about fitting in completely. As she got ready for work, Aisha reflected on their journey so far. From the moment she had asked him to be her date at a wedding, to the casual outings, the heartfelt conversations, and the shared experiences, everything had changed. Her perspective on life, relationships, and trust had shifted. She felt more confident, more open to opportunities, and more willing to embrace the unexpected. Yet the thought of confronting her insecurities about their different social statuses still made her uneasy. At the cafe, the day began like any other. Customers came and went, and Aisha moved with her usual grace and efficiency. Yet her mind kept drifting to Ethan. She wondered if he noticed the subtle tension she sometimes felt, or if he sensed the doubts that occasionally clouded her confidence. She reminded herself that Ethan had always been patient, kind, and understanding, and she trusted him. But old habits of self-doubt were hard to shake. Ethan's life, on the other hand, remained busy and demanding. Meetings, strategic decisions, and business responsibilities filled his days. Yet, even in the midst of his hectic schedule, he often found himself thinking about Aisha. He admired her resilience, the way she carried herself, and the simple joy she found in everyday life. He realized that she had become an anchor for him, a reminder of authenticity, patience, and the beauty of human connection. One afternoon, Ethan suggested spending a weekend together outside the city. Aisha hesitated initially, concerned about leaving her responsibilities at the cafe and stepping into a new environment. Ethan reassured her, emphasizing that it would be relaxed and casual. He wanted her to feel comfortable, not pressured, and that thought eased her anxiety. They packed light and embarked on a journey that promised adventure and tranquility. The destination was a quiet countryside retreat, surrounded by rolling hills, rivers, and trees painted in autumn colors. As they arrived, the air felt fresh and invigorating, a welcome contrast to the busy city life. Ethan guided Aisha through the retreat, pointing out scenic spots and suggesting leisurely walks. The days were filled with simple joys, exploring trails, sharing meals, and engaging in long conversations. Aisha felt a sense of freedom and relaxation she hadn't experienced in a long time. During one evening, as they sat by a crackling fire, Aisha opened up about her insecurities. "Sometimes I feel like I don't belong in your world," she admitted softly, her eyes reflecting the firelight. "I worry that our lives are too different and that eventually it might become a problem." Ethan listened carefully, taking her hand in his. "Aisha, the differences between us don't matter. What matters is the connection we share, the trust we have, and the way we support each other. I value you for who you are, not where you come from or what you have. That will never change." Her eyes welled up with tears, touched by his sincerity. She realized that the bond they had nurtured was genuine and resilient. It wasn't based on superficialities, but on mutual respect, understanding, and care. This realization eased the tension she had felt and reinforced her commitment to the relationship. The weekend continued with shared adventures and moments of quiet intimacy. They explored hidden trails, watched the sunset over the hills, and sat by the river, skipping stones and laughing at small, spontaneous games. These experiences deepened their emotional connection, creating memories that would strengthen their bond for years to come. Back in the city, life resumed its pace, but Aisha and Ethan carried the lessons of the weekend with them. They navigated daily routines, work responsibilities, and social obligations with renewed understanding and patience. Aisha felt more confident in stepping into Ethan's world, while he appreciated the grounded perspective she brought to his life. Challenges continued to arise, as they inevitably would in any relationship. A misunderstanding at a social gathering led to a tense moment, with Aisha feeling out of place and Ethan struggling to bridge the gap between their social circles. Instead of allowing the incident to create distance, they addressed it with honesty and open dialogue. Aisha expressed her feelings of discomfort and Ethan reassured her, emphasizing that her comfort and happiness were his priorities. The resolution reinforced their trust and strengthened their communication skills. They also faced external judgments. Friends, acquaintances, and strangers occasionally made assumptions about their relationship based on appearances or social status. Some comments were subtle, others more direct, but both Aisha and Ethan learned to navigate these situations with grace. They focused on their shared values and the authenticity of their connection, rather than the opinions of others. This resilience brought them closer together, reinforcing the idea that their bond was unshakable. As time went on, Ethan began involving Aisha in aspects of his professional life. He invited her to company events, introduced her to colleagues, and sought her perspective on projects and casual discussions. Aisha felt honored by his trust, and her confidence grew as she realized she could contribute meaningfully. She began to see that her background or social standing did not limit her ability to engage, learn, and participate in his world. Ethan, in turn, learned from Aisha's grounded perspective. Her observations, insights, and approach to challenges provided him with fresh ideas and reminded him of the importance of empathy and simplicity in decision-making. Their partnership became a source of mutual growth, with each influencing the other in meaningful ways. One memorable evening, they attended a charity gala organized by Ethan's company. Aisha felt nervous at first, surrounded by well-dressed guests and formalities. However, Ethan's reassuring presence and subtle guidance helped her navigate the event with ease. She engaged in conversations, shared her thoughts confidently, and even enjoyed the dances and performances. Ethan watched her with admiration, proud of her ability to embrace new experiences without losing her authenticity. Their relationship continued to evolve, balancing moments of joy, challenges, and personal growth. They explored new hobbies together, engaged in volunteer work, and celebrated personal achievements. Each experience strengthened their connection, reinforcing the idea that love was not just about romance, but about shared life, mutual support, and continuous understanding. Aisha began to notice changes within herself. She felt more capable, resilient, and willing to take risks. Her interactions with customers, colleagues, and friends reflected a newfound confidence and joy. Ethan noticed these changes as well, appreciating the positive impact their relationship had on both of their lives. Together, they navigated the complexities of life, learning to balance personal growth with shared experiences. Through these months, their bond matured. They learned to communicate effectively, address insecurities, and support each other through challenges. The differences in their backgrounds, once a source of concern, became opportunities for learning and mutual respect. They celebrated successes, small and large, and found comfort in each other's presence during difficult moments. By the end of this period, Aisha and Ethan had built a relationship grounded in trust, respect, and genuine affection. They had faced challenges, navigated insecurities, and embraced the differences that made their connection unique. Their journey was a testament to the power of honesty, empathy, and shared experiences in fostering a deep and meaningful bond. Their story was no longer just about a chance encounter at a wedding. It had evolved into a partnership characterized by growth, understanding, and love. Each day brought new lessons, adventures, and opportunities to strengthen their connection. The foundation they had built promised a future filled with continued support, shared experiences, and unwavering commitment. The journey of Aisha and Ethan was a celebration of the beauty that arises when two people connect with authenticity, care, and the willingness to grow together. The morning sunlight poured through Aisha's window, and she stretched, feeling a sense of anticipation mixed with nervous excitement. Today was different. She and Ethan had grown closer over the months, and their relationship had become something deeply meaningful. Yet as with any deep connection, there were moments of doubt and reflection, and she found herself thinking about how far they had come and what the future might hold. Her routine at the cafe felt comforting, yet she couldn't shake the anticipation of what the day might bring. She served her regular customers with her usual warmth, but her mind kept wandering to Ethan. She recalled the moments they had shared, the laughter, the quiet conversations, and the adventures that had brought them closer together. Each memory brought a smile to her face, and she felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness about what lay ahead. Ethan's day had started early as well, but unlike Aisha, he was preparing for an important business meeting. Yet even amidst the stress and responsibilities, he thought of her. The connection they had built was something he cherished deeply. He admired her resilience, her authenticity, and the way she had embraced his world without losing her own identity. He knew that their relationship was rare, something worth nurturing and protecting. Later that afternoon, Ethan surprised Aisha by showing up at the cafe. She looked up from the counter, her eyes widening as she saw him smiling warmly at her. "Hi," he said softly. "I hope I'm not interrupting your work." Aisha shook her head, feeling her heart race. "Not at all. I'm glad you're here." They spent the afternoon together, sharing a quiet lunch at a nearby park. The conversation flowed effortlessly, touching on dreams, challenges, and reflections on the journey they had shared so far. Aisha found herself opening up about her fears of inadequacy, of not belonging in Ethan's world, and of losing the connection they had built. Ethan listened attentively, his hand gently resting on hers. "Aisha, I've watched you grow, face challenges, and embrace life with courage. The differences between our worlds don't matter to me. What matters is the bond we share, the trust and the love that has developed. You belong in my life just as you are." Her eyes filled with tears, touched by his words. She realized that the relationship they had built was genuine, resilient, and filled with mutual respect and care. The insecurities that had once weighed heavily on her heart seemed lighter now, replaced by a sense of reassurance and hope. Over the next few weeks, their relationship continued to deepen. They spent time exploring new hobbies, attending cultural events, and participating in volunteer activities. Each shared experience strengthened their bond, teaching them more about each other and about themselves. They navigated challenges with patience, addressed misunderstandings with honesty, and celebrated achievements, both big and small. Aisha began to notice changes within herself. She felt more confident, capable, and willing to embrace opportunities she might have previously ignored. Her interactions with friends, colleagues, and customers reflected a newfound strength and joy. Ethan observed these changes with pride and admiration, appreciating the growth that their connection had fostered. Ethan, too, experienced transformation. He learned to appreciate simplicity, value emotional connections, and embrace the moments of life that were often overlooked in the pursuit of success. Aisha's grounded perspective reminded him of the importance of empathy, patience, and genuine human connection. Together, they created a balance between their worlds, finding joy in both the extraordinary and the everyday. One evening, Ethan invited Aisha to a rooftop garden dinner, overlooking the city skyline. The setting was intimate, filled with soft candlelight and the gentle hum of the city below. As they dined, they reflected on their journey. The chance encounter at the wedding, the shared adventures, the moments of vulnerability, and the growth they had experienced together. "Aisha," Ethan began, his voice gentle yet filled with emotion, "these past months have been incredible. I never expected that a simple act of kindness would lead to something so meaningful. You've changed my life, and I can't imagine it without you." Aisha felt her heart swell with emotion. "Ethan, you've brought so much into my life. Trust, joy, and a sense of possibility I didn't know existed. I feel truly seen and valued, and I am grateful for every moment we've shared." They held hands, looking out at the city lights, feeling a profound sense of connection. In that moment, they understood that their relationship was built on more than attraction or circumstance. It was founded on trust, empathy, and a deep appreciation for each other's presence in their lives. As time went on, Aisha and Ethan continued to integrate their lives while respecting their individual identities. They balanced social events, personal goals, and professional responsibilities, always prioritizing open communication and mutual support. Each challenge they faced became an opportunity to strengthen their relationship, deepen their understanding, and reaffirm their commitment. One significant milestone occurred when Ethan introduced Aisha to his family. Initially nervous, Aisha found warmth and acceptance from his relatives, who appreciated her authenticity, kindness, and genuine character. This experience further solidified her confidence and sense of belonging within Ethan's world. She realized that true connection transcended social boundaries and that love was rooted in mutual respect and understanding. Their relationship was not without its trials. Misunderstandings, occasional doubts, and external judgments tested their bond. However, each time they confronted these challenges with honesty and empathy, their connection grew stronger. They learned to navigate differences in perspective, communicate effectively, and support each other unconditionally. Aisha also began to pursue personal aspirations she had once thought unattainable. With Ethan's encouragement and guidance, she explored further education, new career opportunities, and creative endeavors. She discovered a sense of empowerment and self-worth that extended beyond her relationship. Embracing her potential and capabilities fully, Ethan, inspired by Aisha's determination and authenticity, continued to grow as well. He learned to appreciate the richness of life beyond professional achievements, finding joy in shared experiences, emotional intimacy, and the beauty of simple moments. Their partnership became a source of mutual inspiration, growth, and fulfillment. The story of Aisha and Ethan culminated in a deep understanding that love and connection were not defined by social status, wealth, or circumstance. Their journey demonstrated the power of authenticity, trust, empathy, and shared experiences. Each day brought new opportunities to learn, grow, and cherish each other's presence. In the final scenes, they celebrated a quiet evening at home, reflecting on their journey. Aisha expressed gratitude for the support, care, and love that had transformed her life. Ethan, in turn, acknowledged the profound impact she had on his perspective, priorities, and happiness. They embraced the understanding that their bond was rare, meaningful, and resilient. As the night drew to a close, they looked forward to a future filled with shared adventures, personal growth, and unwavering support. The story of their chance encounter at a wedding had evolved into a profound partnership, demonstrating that love rooted in authenticity, empathy, and mutual respect could overcome differences, challenges, and uncertainties. Aisha and Ethan's journey was a testament to the beauty of human connection. It showed that when two individuals embrace honesty, vulnerability, and care, they can create a relationship that transforms lives, fosters growth, and inspires hope. Their story concluded not with an ending, but with the promise of continued love, shared experiences, and the enduring strength of a bond built on trust and understanding. Through every challenge, every moment of joy, and every shared experience, they had discovered the true meaning of partnership. And the story of their lives together was only beginning. Aisha woke up early that morning, feeling a sense of anticipation and excitement she hadn't experienced in years. The months she had spent with Ethan had been transformative, filled with laughter, challenges, growth, and a deepening bond. Their connection had matured, evolving from a chance meeting into a meaningful, steadfast partnership. Today, however, felt different. It was as if something new was waiting just around the corner, a turning point that would shape the next chapter of their lives. She prepared for the day with care, choosing an outfit that made her feel confident and comfortable. As she looked at herself in the mirror, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here. From asking a stranger to be her date at a wedding, to navigating the complexities of a developing relationship with a wealthy, kind-hearted man, she realized how much she had grown, how she had learned to embrace life's uncertainties, and how she had learned to trust not only Ethan but herself. Meanwhile, Ethan was finishing up a morning of meetings and strategy planning. Even amidst his busy schedule, his thoughts kept returning to Aisha. He admired her resilience, her authenticity, and the unique perspective she brought to his world. Unlike others who were intimidated or enamored by his wealth, she had approached him with honesty and humility, and he valued that deeply. He knew that their bond was special and worth nurturing every single day. Later that afternoon, Ethan invited Aisha to join him for a day trip outside the city. She accepted eagerly, thrilled by the promise of adventure. They drove along winding roads past fields and forests bathed in golden sunlight, their conversation flowing naturally. They talked about dreams, past experiences, and the things that made them laugh until their sides hurt. Each story, each shared memory brought them closer together, reinforcing the bond that had grown steadily over months. The destination was a scenic lakeside retreat, where the water shimmered under the sun and the air carried the scent of pine and fresh earth. They strolled along the shore, feeling the cool breeze and the warmth of each other's company. Aisha felt a deep sense of peace, a feeling of being completely herself in Ethan's presence. He had become not only a partner but a confidant, someone who encouraged her growth while celebrating her uniqueness. As the day progressed, they set up a small picnic by the water. Ethan had prepared a basket with her favorite snacks and drinks, each item thoughtfully chosen. They sat together, enjoying the food and the scenery, laughing at small jokes and sharing observations about the world around them. The simplicity of the moment was profound. No pressures, no pretenses, just two people enjoying life together. Aisha took a moment to reflect on the journey that had led them here. She remembered her initial nervousness, the worry about attending the wedding alone, and the unexpected kindness Ethan had shown. That single act of generosity had blossomed into a connection she cherished deeply. She realized how much she had grown, how she had learned to embrace vulnerability, and how she had allowed herself to trust another person fully. Ethan noticed her contemplative expression and reached out to hold her hand. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly. Aisha smiled, squeezing his hand. "Just how far we've come. It's amazing to think that it all started with a simple request at a wedding. I never imagined that moment would lead to this." He smiled back, his eyes reflecting warmth and affection. "Neither did I, but I'm grateful it did. You've brought so much into my life, more than I could have imagined. You've shown me joy, patience, and the value of being present in each moment." The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Aisha and Ethan sat quietly, watching the reflection of the sky on the calm lake. The peacefulness of the scene mirrored the sense of fulfillment they felt in their relationship. Words weren't necessary. The shared silence spoke volumes about trust, understanding, and love. That evening, they returned to the city, carrying with them the serenity and connection of the lakeside retreat. Life resumed its pace, but the bond between them had deepened further. They continued to support each other, celebrate small victories, and navigate challenges with patience and empathy. Aisha felt more confident in her ambitions and pursuits, knowing that Ethan's encouragement was unwavering. Ethan, in turn, appreciated the grounded perspective Aisha brought to his life, helping him stay connected to the simple joys and meaningful moments often overlooked in a busy world. In the following weeks, they faced new challenges and opportunities together. Aisha was offered a chance to expand her work, requiring her to step outside her comfort zone. Ethan supported her fully, offering guidance and encouragement while allowing her to take the lead. Together, they navigated logistical hurdles, decision-making, and the emotional aspects of growth. The experience strengthened their partnership, teaching them the importance of trust, communication, and mutual support. They also explored more personal milestones. Ethan invited Aisha to intimate gatherings with close friends and family, where her authenticity and warmth won admiration and respect. Aisha introduced Ethan to her own circle, sharing the richness of her experiences and the depth of her world. Through these interactions, they learned to bridge differences in social circles, appreciating diversity while celebrating shared values. One particularly memorable evening, they attended a cultural festival,